the family, and we've said we know Carter, a 14-year-old boy, Dad, an archaeologist, Sadie, the sister, and we ended yesterday with Dad looking over his shoulder, feeling hunted. Dad, I said, as we were getting off the A40, what's wrong? No sign of them, he muttered. Then he must have realised he'd spoken aloud, because he looked at me kind of startled. Nothing, Carter. Everything's fine. Which bothered me, because my dad's a terrible liar. I always knew when he was hiding something, but I also knew no amount of pestering would get the truth out of him. He was probably trying to protect me, though from what, I didn't know. Sometimes I wondered if he had some dark secret in his past, some old enemy following him maybe, but the idea seemed ridiculous. Dad was just an archaeologist. The other thing that troubled me, Dad was clutching his work bag. And remember, Carter isn't allowed to look inside the work bag. Usually when he does that, it means we're in danger. Like the time gunmen stormed our hotel in Cairo. I heard shots coming from the lobby and ran downstairs to check on my dad. By the time I got there, he was just calmly zipping up his work bag while 3 unconscious gunmen hung by their feet from the chandelier. Chandelier, you know, is fancy light up there. Yeah, Dad's handy with his kickboxing or something. Their robes falling over their heads so you could see their boxer shorts. Dad claimed not to have witnessed anything, and in the end the police blamed a freak chandelier malfunction. Another time, we got caught in a riot in Paris. Do we know what a riot is? Marley? Definitely crowds in a riot. Oscar?
It's a mob of people.
Definitely a mob. How are they behaving?
Viciously?
Could be, yes. Out of control. Jack, what did you want to say? Yes. They might be destroying stuff, vandalising stuff, marauding around, moving around in a big group. That's right. That's right. They might be throwing things. Yeah. My dad found the nearest parked car, pushed me into the back seat and told me to stay down. I pressed myself against the floorboards and kept my eyes tight shut. I could hear Dad in the driver's seat, rummaging in his bag, mumbling something to himself, while the mob yelled and destroyed things outside. A few minutes later, he told me it was safe to get up. Every other car on the block had been overturned and set on fire. Our car, which had been freshly washed and polished, had several 20-euro notes tucked under the windshield wipers. Anyway, I'd come to respect the bag. It was our good luck charm. But when Dad kept it close, it meant we were going to need good luck. We drove through the city centre, heading east towards my grandparents' flat. We passed the golden gates of Buckingham Palace and the big stone column of Trafalgar Square. London is a pretty cool place, but after you've travelled for so long, all cities start to blend together. Other kids I meet sometimes say, "Wow, you're so lucky you get to travel so much." But it's not like we spend our time sightseeing or have a lot of money to travel in style. We stayed in some pretty rough places, and we hardly ever stay anywhere longer than a few days. Most of the time it feels like we're fugitives rather than tourists. Fugitives? Jack? They are. They're on the run. They're people who've done something and they're on the run. I mean, you wouldn't think my dad's work was dangerous. He does lectures on topics like, can Egyptian magic really kill you? And favourite punishments in the Egyptian underworld, and other stuff most people wouldn't care about. But like I said, there's that other side to him. He's always very cautious, checking every hotel room before he lets me walk in. He'll dart into a museum, see some artefacts, take a few notes and rush out again, like he's afraid to get caught on the security cameras. One time, when I was younger, we raced across the Charles de Gaulle airport to catch a last-minute flight. That's an airport in Paris. And Dad didn't relax until the plane was off the ground. I asked him point blank what he was running from, and he looked at me like I'd just pulled the pin out of a grenade. What happens when you pull a pin out of a grenade?
goes bam.
For a second I was scared he might actually tell me the truth. Then he said, "Carter, it's nothing," as if nothing was the most terrible thing in the world. After that, I decided maybe it was better not to ask questions. My grandparents, the Fausts, live in a housing development near Canary Wharf, that's a place in London, right on the banks of the River Thames. The taxi let us off at the curb, and my dad asked the driver to wait. We were halfway up the walk when Dad froze. He turned and looked behind us. "What?" I asked. Then I saw the man in the trench coat. He was across the street leaning against a big dead tree. He was barrel-shaped, with skin the colour of roasted coffee. His coat and black pinstripe suit looked expensive. He had long braided hair. He wore a black fedora pulled down low over his dark, round glasses. Fedora must be a kind of...
It's kind of like like with hat.
It's a hat,
With
yeah,
coat,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Kind of hat with a brim. He reminded me of a jazz musician. Does that put a picture in your head? Kind of
Yeah.
funky looking guy. The kind my dad would always drag me to see in a concert. Even though I couldn't see his eyes, I got the impression he was watching us. He might have been an old friend or colleague of Dad's. No matter where we went, Dad was always running into people he knew. But it did seem strange that the guy was waiting here, outside my grandparents', and he didn't look happy. "Carter," my dad said, "you go on ahead, but get your sister, I'll meet you back in the taxi." He crossed the street towards the man in the trench coat, which left me with two choices. Follow my dad and see what was going on, or do what I was told. I decided on the slightly less dangerous path, and I went to retrieve my sister. Retrieve. Save, good. Yep.
Like, bring my sister back.
Exactly right. Anybody know what a golden retriever dog looks like? Their job is bringing things back. So we've met the strange man in the trench coat, and we're about to meet Sadie in the next session. Thank you, Alex.